My name is Lisa. I'm an internal support coordinator with WEX FSM, and I wanted to welcome you all to today's session of Solution Studio. Today, we are going to be going over checklists and checklist best practices. So let's think about this. So you can use checklists in so many ways in our system, and it's totally up to you as a company how far down this rabbit hole you want to go, because checklists help keep you organized and on track, and depending on who's filling them out, accountable. So um, you can use them for pretty much anything in the system. You're not tied to just having a service or a maintenance checklist or an install checklist. You can go down to having one for estimates to make sure that your estimators or your salesmen are getting all the information you need so that you can do an accurate estimate. You can do them for installs. You can have the checklists be customer facing, or they can be hidden from the customer. Probably one want to have an install checklist. Um, you know, be customer facing, because one of the items might be on there is the water flowing, is the condensation, going out? Is everything in there that they may not need to see? But on a maintenance one, you may want them to see that, because it just gives them a feeling of additional value of what you checked when you were there to do their maintenance. And you may even have a line on there that says, okay, what type of system that they have and what condition it's in, so that you can start letting them know it's 9 years old, it's 10 years old, that they may be looking at replacement sometime soon. And it won't be as big a surprise when you have that conversation with them and give them an offer. You may have a checklist for your office person who handles all of your installs to say, okay, did they get the permit? Oop, have somebody else coming in. Hi, Angie. We just got started on checklists and just going over reasons to have them and what you can use them for. And I was just getting ready to say that if you have an office person who's responsible for making sure that everything is complete on a job, you can have items for check marks that say, did you get the permit? Were the plans reviewed? Did you do your energy calculations? Did you order the equipment, schedule the install, register the equipment, and schedule your final inspection for the building permit? Um, you can check to see if if it's been paid, and do the job costing. And then when that person is done, they can complete that checklist and you have that on the job. So there's so many ways to use these, and a lot of people don't even realize that they're there. So let's go in and take a look, and I'm going to share my screen at where checklists live. And they live under More Applications, Checklists. And we have a bunch of them in here. This is a test account. They're always going in and putting lots and lots of different things in here. But to create a new checklist, let's just go over how to do that. You need to name it. And you can associate it with a job or multiple job types, because remember, in our system, if there's not a little caret, you can do a multi-select. So you may want to name this one maintenance, and you may want to associate it with your maintenance job type. If you associate it with this job type, it will automatically be loaded on any jobs when you create the appointment and make that job type maintenance. So it'll automatically load on there for your tech or your install or your office person, whoever is going to use that checklist, to complete on that job. Now, let's say if you go out and it is a maintenance and it turns into an install, okay, and you don't have your install checklists added to a maintenance job type. Any of these checklists that are in the system are available so that the user can go and add it to the job on the fly. It won't automatically be loaded there. And if you go in and you change the job type, it won't be. It is triggered by that appointment creation and the initial job creation to put it on there, but you can always go grab what you need. So if the circumstances change, it's no longer a maintenance, and it may be an estimate or an install, you can go grab those as you need them. So you can have this automatically added to each job. That's what, by adding this in here, you can automatically have it added to proposals and invoices on the job. If you do that, the customer is going to be able to see it. And there may be some that you don't want them to see and some that you do, depending on just how transparent you are with your customers. You can have a signature box. If it's added on the proposal and checklist, you can have a signature box that the customer is required to sign, like almost an agreement of that the work was done to their satisfaction. And you can require the appointment for completion. So we have a feature in the system that auto closes a job. If you have an appointment, if you have an invoice, and the invoice is paid and the appointment is completed, the job will auto close. If there is anything left open, like a checklist that is required for completion, an appointment that is not completed, a flag for follow-up that is not completed, the job won't auto close and you have to go back and manually close it. Okay. And you can decide, okay, we don't really need the checklist, that they finished it, they're fine. And you can manually close the job. It's not going to keep you from closing the job, but it will keep the auto close from happening. Okay. So now we need to decide what we're putting on the checklist. So you go to your items and you can create a label. Okay. So let's say check pressures. So you can give a short answer or you can do a multiple choice. A short answer is just like a checklist. They can go in and go, check, I checked it. If you want to see what the pressures are, you could hit multiple choice, and this would be the checks that you can do. And the short answer will give them a text box. I think I said it backwards first time. Short answer gives them a text box to put it in so that they can actually put in the pressures. And multiple choice, they could go in and say on target, whatever, like the filter, if it was a filter, needs to be changed, no filter, added a new filter, anything like that. So you know what you have your people check. So you can go in here and do this, and you would hit add an item to create another one. Once you get these items created, if you get them out of order, all you have to do is drag them and drop them and move them. So don't worry that you have to go back and create a whole new one. You can just move them around. Okay. If you want it to be just a checklist, you turn this off and they're actually just going to be able to go check, 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 check. Okay. At the end of any of the number of items that you add here, there's always going to be a spot for notes. So don't think you had to add one for notes. There'll always be one there for notes, and they can go in and add them at the end. So if you forget to add something in here, they can always add those on the fly. Okay, so let's take a look at some of the ones that they have in here already. So let's go NCDOT. So they have a checklist and they only use it to put in there, I hereby agree that I understand my right to terminate services within 3 days. So you can use it for that as well. So like I said, you can just use your imagination, use it for whatever you would like to use it for, and just make sure that everybody knows that they can go grab one that they need on the fly. So let's go in and go to my favorite customer, Jack Dawson. Some of you will know that that is the guy from Titanic. Some of you don't care, but that is the guy that I always go to. So we go in and let's go into checklist. So when I created this job, I did not have checklist turned on. So here I can go, and the guys can do this in the field as well, and hit new. And there's all those templates that I can choose. Okay. So let's see if we've got an HVAC maintenance checklist. Okay. So I'm pulling this one in. The guys have the option to skip it. This is where they can check it. They can add data. This doesn't have a multi-choice one, but this is the one where you can add the information in and actually type it in. If Let's say it's a furnace and none of the heat pump options are on here. You're using the same checklist for all of them. You have the option to skip items that don't pertain to what you're checking at that time, and it will allow the checklist to close if those are skipped. Here's where the comments, here's where the customer signature, and my favorite is you have who it's completed by. So if you have a lead installer, you will have a time date stamp of when they completed this. The other thing is, I'm just going to go in and go check, 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 and hit done. Okay, I'm going to go down, sign my name, and save. So this behaves pretty much like every other job form in our system. And this is really a nice thing. So if this was an install checklist, this is golden because let's say you install a heat pump or some type of larger equipment, and you go through and you do the checklist and you make sure all your pressures are on there, everything's on there that needs to be on there as kind of your backup that you did everything as a contractor that you're supposed to do. So now the customer comes back to you and says, I don't know what you did to this when you installed it. This thing's a lemon. You've been out here 8 times to fix it and it's still not right. It's never going to be right. I want a refund. This is a lemon. I want it replaced. Okay. So, first thing you're going to do is you're going to go back to your distributor and you're going to say, hey, there's something wrong with this one. And they're going to say, it was probably the install. And you're going to go, no, we did everything we were supposed to do. My people did their job. And here is my checklist. And it will go through, it will tell you the date, the time that it was done, everything that was done, all the information, any comments in here, the date it was signed, and you can send the checklist just like any of our job forms to your distributor as your backup that this you did everything that you were supposed to do. So this is like gold. This is a blind send. I never use blind sends in our system. I always want to look at them. It's just me. You may like blind send, but I don't because I want to see if there's any misspelled words or anything on there, especially when I'm billing people that everything looks correct. But in our system, you can do a blind send and sometimes it's an arrow. But on the checklist, you can also click on the PDF, take a look at it. You can also have the option to print it and take it with you, just like any of our job forms, and download it. If you have someone in that you're sending this to who may be elderly, who has problem with smaller print, flies under the radar, that you can change the print here as well and make it larger so that they can see it a little bit better. Excuse me. Okay. And then go ahead and print it. It may push things, depending on how many things you have on here with the larger print, down into a second page, but at least they can read it. Okay. So now we've got the checklist. So let's see. Where can we see as a whole whether these are done or not? So I'm going to go to reporting. Let me duplicate this. And I'm going to go to reporting. And I believe the job summary report has checklists. So if you see an exclamation mark here, you can toggle anything red you can click on checklists, bring them up, bring them down. And these are all the checklists that were not completed in our system because this is a test system and nobody goes back and finishes anything. So that's why there's so many of them here, but probably not in your system. So you can see them here. I believe they're on the job report as well. Nope, not one there. We have, there was one other report where this shows up. Job summary by appointment. This one may take a while to load because this is the test system and we're on a Zoom. So let's see if it'll come up. I had to have my whole computer reset this morning by IT because of the internet. So this is probably what's going to happen with it. There should be a checklist spot on here. We'll let it go and see if we can find any other ones that it might show up on. We did the job profit, job summary. I believe those are the two that it shows up on, and then the job summary by appointment. Oh, look, there we go. Flag for follow-up, completed checklists. There we go. We just needed to give it a little bit more time. Okay, so you can see on this, and if you haven't used the job summary by appointment report, it's a great report because it tells you actually the date that everything was done, the actual appointment date, and this is a Tableau report, so it has a little bit more information over on this side, which you can see the signed proposal count, the total, the invoice count, the invoice total. So if you're looking to see if maybe you have a signed proposal that hasn't been converted to an invoice, you can always double check these to make sure you're actually billing your people. Okay. But that is basically how checklists work in our system. And like I said, you can use them as little as you like, just basic checkboxes, or you can really go down a rabbit hole and make sure that your organization is checking everything from the beginning of a job to the end of a job and making sure that you have everything in there that you need. Oh, somebody else is coming in. So does anybody have any questions about how they work or what they might be used for? So they can't click the skip. I don't believe there is. Let me do a quick double check, but I don't believe that there is an option for them to not choose skip. So we've got this one, got to make a name and go to items. Nope, I don't believe there is any way to keep them from being able to skip them. But I wanted to also show you, let me see if I can pull up my screen from the other side so that you can see. So if you do add it to, um, so that it's customer facing and you send it out to them, it doesn't show on the thing. Can you see this? Oops, hello, come back here, little guy. I want to go over to here. It shows it as an attachment. So if you have an invoice and you have it on the checklist or on the proposal, it's going to show as an attachment down here. Some people think when they add it that it's going to show up in here, but it adds it as an attachment. Okay. And I believe there's also job detail. Let me go down to if I create an invoice, if you have it set to not add to a job form, I believe there is a place down here. Include equipment. Is there a checklist on this job? There we go. So you can attach it to the invoice on the fly, right? If you decide as a whole that you set it up so that it's not going to show, it'll be set to off here, but you can always add it here and it'll add it as an attachment as well. Okay. Is there anything else anyone had any questions about on checklists? Do you guys think this is be something that you can use in your system? From the checklist, when it is required for appointment completion is toggled, it shouldn't let him out of the appointment until it's completed. Because if if he's trying to hit complete, it should not let him go. If it pops up with a warning or anything, I'd have to check on that. So I need to check to see what warning. And I'll go in and test that. I'm making my notes. Sorry about that. So I know exactly how to go in and test. Complete. Okay, so I'll go in. Miranda, I love you, Miranda. Okay, so if they skip, they can bypass. But does it come up with Miranda? Have you seen it where it comes up with a warning, or does it just not let him out? They just can't close it. Okay. Okay. So I will go in and test as well to make sure that it doesn't have a pop-up, but I didn't think it did, but I didn't want to say the wrong thing and give you guys misinformation. So I always like to go in and test. And Miranda's ready to start working for us any day. We love Miranda. And Sean, you ask great questions. I'm glad you're both here and everyone else too. Thank you guys so much for showing up today. Did anyone else have any other questions? You just need to let me, hey, you need to go to WEX and look online. They're always looking for great people. So there you go. Thanks, Sean. You have a great day too. You can have her. Oh, this is great. I like you guys. I'm so glad you guys have a sense of humor. It helps the day go, especially after dealing with IT all day long today. Thank you so much. That made my day. Be nice, Angie. You guys are great. So if you don't have any other questions, I'm going to let you guys get back to work at your at your day job, Miranda. And so, so you can moonlight to Wex at night, right? So you have a great rest of your day. And it's not as funny because I used to be you guys. I would manage at an AC company for 10 years. And the joke was that I was going to come work here. And this is where I've been for the last almost 9 years. So never say never. You guys have a great rest of your day. Bye bye.